there was something I meant to tell you. So a couple of days after we last recorded, I woke up and I was like, fuck, I need to call Eddie. We need to figure out what we're going to do. I wonder if anybody's told him about Andy's death. And I had a dream so real that Andy had died that I woke up and was like, Eddie and I need to figure out what we're going to do with the podcast without him. Do we carry on? What do we do?
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
The show goes on. Sorry, no offense, Andy, but the show goes on.
All right.
Just get a cycle of people in. Like, just roll in each one.
How did they die then?
I don't know. I don't remember. So one of the problems is when I dream, I very rarely remember them. Like they can be incredibly vivid while they're happening, but I will wake up and within 5 minutes they're gone. But this one, like, I distinctly woke up with the feeling that I needed to call Eddie and talk to him about you passing away.
It's like that fucking. You remember Big Brother when the site shined? Oh, David's dead. Or something.
David's dead. Not that David. My David. Oh, so funny.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Nothing and Like It, the only podcast, thank God, that chronicles the FWA through its appearances on television. I am your cheesy game show host, Kieran, and joining me, two winners in life. A man who recently won £10.50 on correctly guessing the length of a song and renewed for a 30-second season, Eddie Sideburns. Eddie, how are you?
I am £10.50 richer thanks to a man singing the national anthem at this Super Bowl. And I've been luckily renewed for a 30-second season. Yeah, I'm doing great. This is it's always a great time to be with you two, and it's always a great time to talk about FWA. Although apparently Kieran likes to think that Andy's died, so it would be quite interesting to see where we'd have went from there.
It's a good job I said that after we started recording. Now I'm going to have to cut that and put it in the show somewhere to explain what you're talking about.
No reason whatsoever why I didn't mention it,
And speaking of which, a man who recently won and then gave away a large Best Dad in the World t-shirt, so he very briefly had a big pupper tea, Andy Ogden. Andy, how are you?
Come on down. The price is right. I soon got rid of that t-shirt about 2 minutes after I got it. Couldn't wait to give it away.
So we are plodding our way through FWA on the Wrestling Channel, made by me, if I haven't said that enough so far. We are going to shred a further 2 hours of my work. Well, 2 hours of finished product. It was definitely more than 2 hours work to do these. We are starting with what the FWA Files channel calls Episode 9, aired on June the 3rd, 2004. Cold open with a recap video set to Citizen Smith's Erase the Day, which covers Mark Sloan versus Aviv Mayan from 2 weeks ago, interrupted by the return of Steve Corino, his calling out of Alex Shane, Shane's rebuttal and refusal of Corino's challenge, Doug Williams' interjection and his holding of Shane over a barrel to set up himself versus Corino, and then from last week, the first two falls of that match. This is some 50 minutes of TV condensed into 3. Not bad for my first recap video, I thought. There's some stuff I do differently today, like we don't have to keep using flash transitions to skip through Alex's promo. And the fire thing at the end didn't do anything like what I wanted it to because I didn't understand things like masking and alpha channels. I hope you both watched the HD remastered version that went up on the FWA Files channel a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I certainly did. But I will say, Kieran, it fucked with my head, this, because I pressed play. I was like, have I actually missed the end of the match? Because I'd sort of thought, like, that didn't really happen. I think it's because it's been such a long time.
Yeah, it's a week in FWA time, but it's a month in our time since we saw the first 2/3 of this match.
Yeah, I knew it was 1-0, but it's like, what the fuck's going on here? But thankfully, it did come up the final four. I was like, oof, I've not missed anything.
I enjoyed the video. I didn't watch the HD version, which is, again, I must have completely forgot, but I'll go back and watch it again. But I enjoyed the video. I thought, great to bring you up to speed, highlight that this is the final fall and blah, and all that stuff. I even said, I can't believe you're so down on yourself. I like the edit effects used for this a lot. I do love the EVA and the FWA intro right after it goes silent, and then you get FW. I was like, yeah, I really enjoyed this. It was good to remember this stuff because as you said, it feels like probably not a week for the people watching it at the time, but for us, obviously, it's been like a month or so. So
yeah. We go to Atkins in his little fake green room with Point of No Return as his backing track, as he tells us we will also be seeing some developments within the family, Hampton Court versus Stevie Knight and a mystery partner for the #1 contendership to the tag title, and Johnny Storm putting the XPW European title up against a wrestler from Germany named X-Dream.
This is the first time, I'm sure, that music has been played underneath John Atkins.
Yeah, I think so, yes.
Yeah. And you can tell it's got your fingerprints on it because you certainly love churning out the Point of No Return. What a legend.
I actually found when I was putting my archive together a WAV file called Point of No Return Chorus Loop, and that must have been what we played behind John. As the season goes on, it will usually be instrumental versions of whatever song it is Ralph has written for the upcoming big show, or whatever show like the matches are taken from.
Right.
Simply because it's hard to pay attention to what John is saying while there are other words going on in the background.
I mean, this playing is probably better than what it probably I imagined it with the Vincent Price stuff that I referred to before, which is like that. You know that song that Fevers McGraw plays on the piano in the Wallace and Gromit thing? It was like, I was like, that would probably fit. That would probably not fit as well for the thing we're watching. But if it was a horror thing, I'd be all for it. But yeah, it was interesting to hear the music playing while he was speaking.
Do we think John has missed his true calling as like a Crypt Keeper style character presenting like horror compendiums on late night television?
As long as he can bring the ukulele, I'm sure he won't. No, I think with the music part as well, it does kind of give it a bit of life rather than it just being him speaking and nothing there.
It's all about production value. It's all about making things seem more expensive than they actually are. Don't forget, I'm from the world of low budget films where, you know, the highest budget I ever had for a film was 500 quid, and we made a 23-minute movie for 500 quid, and most of that went on petrol to go in people's cars.
I was going to say, do you have to keep paying like the band £1 every time you play Point of No Return or something like that?
That is whatever deal Alex and Ralph worked out. Nothing to do with me, just in case the lawyers come this way. So we're going back to Brent Town Hall for the conclusion of Doug Williams versus Steve Corino for the FWA title. So the previous week, Corino took the first fall by submission with a Cobra Clutch variation, and then Doug equalised with the Revolution DDT. When we come back, Doug is riding his momentum with his twin running knee strikes, and he goes up for the bomb scare knee drop, but Corino pops up, clobbers him on the top rope, and brings him back in with a superplex for a 2 count. Giles calls a messy brainbuster a Northern Lights bomb, as Corino now goes up top, wherever upturn is, don't know where that is, but it's Doug's turn to cut him off, eventually hitting a half-hatch suplex off the top for his own knackered near fall. Corino rolls out of the ring to avoid a diving headbutt, and Williams rolls out of the other side, seemingly only because they want to do a double count-out tease. Jane Childs has been watching her New Japan tapes and joins in over the house mic at 13, and of course, both men roll back in at 19.
Need more emphasis like in Japan when it comes down to the end. That's one of the things I've put down here.
Yes. We have a strike battle. Corino hits an actual Northern Lights bomb, and Doug kicks out at 2.9 of what looked to be a 4 count by the referee. Corino with a backdrop driver and the not quite Cobra Clutch again, but Williams makes it to the ropes. Doug jawbreakers his way out of another attempt and hits the Revolution DDT again, but Corino is too close to the ropes and gets his foot on them before the 3. Williams gets Corino up on his shoulders, and in spinning around, the glass ref takes a light boot to the elbow and is knocked out. Oh. I can see a lot of shaking heads.
We've not seen this one before, have we? Oh,
I don't know. My shoulder for a good wee while in a certain times was very kind of like light glass for a good while during my career.
Do you have a
No.
favourite bump you've ever taken as a ref?
Oh, there was the drop kick from Joe Coffey that I took in a match with Joe versus Noam Dar, which kind of, if you look at the picture of it, I look like I've been sent into another kind of atmosphere.
Eddie is on his way to another dimension, back soon.
Yeah. And then there was a spot in it. It's a weird one. It was like I take a ref bump from a back body drop, and it was Blondie Barrett in one of the other indies outside, and it was like I can't remember how it was, but it was something where it was like a back body drop or something, and I'm near it and I clip my head and I fall on the ground or something like that. But I was like, that's quite at the time I was like, oh, that's quite very inventive, because everyone's just like, and then we're gonna either kick you if you're gonna take the hit or X, Y, and Z or something like that. So there's a couple. This one I was like, yep, I've had this one before. Just wait for the legs, then go, oh.
Eddie, when you come around from the back body drop landing, did you have to do like the Earl Emner count, like 1, 2, swimming stroke?
Oh, I tell you, the longest time I've ever had to take during a ref bump and being down while shenanigans have happened was in a ICW Fierce Females, and it was Awesome Kong, Kaylee Ray, and I can't remember who the Viper. And I get drop kicked from Kaylee Ray, and I'm out for like a good couple of minutes, and then I come back in and do the Pearl Hebner, like the really slow one, and then I'm like, do I have to go back up right away, given the fact I've been like on the floor for such a long time? That's one thing that I can understand with like ref bumps. It's like in my beginning of the career, sometimes you would like take something, then you would kind of almost try and get back up right away, and then you're like, no, you kind of have to sell it at least a little bit.
What makes me laugh is when you have a wrestler as a special guest ref, and all of a sudden he's lost all his wrestling powers and like goes down for 3 minutes off a clothesline.
Yeah, it's just as soon as you wear that zebra, you're gone. Like your powers are drained from you at that point, and you have to just like sell anything like you've been shot in the chest. But yeah, and when I saw this ref bump, I was like, okay, I'm interested as where we're going with this.
I believe so. This is Steve Cox. This is his first time reffing a main event, I do believe, and I think this might actually have been his first ever ref bump. So Carino whips off the elbow pad and clatters Doug with a lariat for a visual pin, but obviously no ref. Williams ducks a second one, turns it into a German suplex for his own visual pin, but Cox apparently has a wrestling boot allergy as he seems to be dead. Williams gets backdropped to the floor. Alex Shane runs down, brains Carino with a chair. He spots Doug on the ground as he's leaving and lines up a shot for him too, but then Jack Xavier runs out, takes Shane's attention, ducks a swing, pushes the chair into Alex's face and sees him off up the ramp.
He just pushes it.
He fucking walloped him. You can hear it as well.
It's like you've had your chance to to beat your boss up, and you're like one going, and like, well, I'm going to take you. He just does two hands into the bottom of the chair and then right on.
Yeah.
Oh.
Back in the ring, Williams hits the bomb scare knee drop on the downed Carino. Someone has apparently poked Cox with his EpiPen as he wakes up from his 2-minute coma and counts to 3. Doug retains. What I loved about the fall as well, and all this with him, the cameraman running as fast as he can to make sure he captures the fall, and then he just turns around obviously once it happens. Like, is it white cameraman or black cameraman? Because if it's white cameraman, it's me.
Yeah, you were running to it, and I think it was like, and then you just were getting your thing for it, and then you're like, oh, okay, it's happened now.
I
was like,
can't remember if the other camera guy had shot wrestling before this show. He would do a bunch after. His name was Alon Bell. I believe he's now directed a couple of films. And he was a guy I would rent a camera off for a while. I would either be renting his camera or he would like come and shoot the show with me. I can't remember if this was his first one or not. He actually turned out to be quite good at it. Other people did not last more than one show. I don't know. We can't really rate this match because like it's presented across 2 weeks of TV. We've had to wait a month to watch the final act. I think there's a more coherent version on the Best of Doug Williams DVD that comes out later in the year, but it's been forever since I saw it in full. probably like a 3.25 to 3.5 match.
Yeah, it's a Doug level in it.
Yeah.
3.25.
And to be honest, a Carino level as well.
Carino level, yeah. I did put the final four was decent, but just all the interference again, like I said earlier. You feel like you've seen it all before.
Yeah.
It's a bit past its sell-by date, this finish, but then again, I bet we've got another 1.5, 2 years of Alex Kane and doing this.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, because obviously it's over 2 episodes, but I do think, again, we discussed it when we first started this and we were watching these. They had their core people of the people who were really good and the people who were talented, and they were the ones who were always put with the imports because you knew you were going to get something good out of it. And these two, I think this is the first time they've met each other, and they go on to face each other a couple of times after this in other companies and stuff.
Yeah, this is like their first of half a dozen matches, I think.
And there was a good thing where it was like, I think Tony Giles was like, Steve's probably been watching his Doug Williams tapes and obviously are seeing him when he's been like, because they've probably been in each other's presence during other shows and stuff like that. But yeah, like I thought it was okay. There's nothing really massive about it. I think one of the other things as well is because we know these are 2 or 3 falls.
Yeah,
we know what the score is going to be. It's just who to at that point. So that does lose it. Also, does Nick London just hate Yanks? I've just realised during his entire gimmick is just
Carino's Canadian, so I don't know what he was yelling about Americans for.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, you don't want an American, and I'm just like, right, okay.
So it's kind of a gag because he was all for Christopher Daniels being a heel American champion, but Carino being a babyface visitor and taking the title, that's not on.
No. Zoom in on the 2 fans who applauded, and someone says something to the camera. I didn't know what they were saying, but I was like,
they were probably just yelling FWA or something. That was what usually happened.
Yeah.
We cut to a frustrated Steve Carino in a World 1 t-shirt in front of a corrugated iron panel.
Kieran, my note on this, Carino heavy breathing like he's shooting a porn film.
Steve Carino heavy breathing, and the guy from Horrible Histories, I am a shouty man, and that's basically what he was like during this entire like promo.
Was it like when he got to a level of his pitchness, it just kept shooting in and out, didn't it? Like when he got his loudest, just went bang,
yeah,
him in the face.
Well, don't forget, I didn't really know much about leveling audio at this point.
Well,
so he rants about how he had the title in his hands, but Shane screwed him. He says he's beaten the best, but nobody has got under his skin like Alex Shane. I think a lot of people could say that. He promises he'll be back for the FWA every time he can, and one day he will clothesline Shane right in the mouth. I shot this. You'll be shocked to learn. We will see 2 more of these promos as time goes on. These were shot in the closed bar of the venue in Newport. And I told Steve we had to do 3, and he went, right, I'll go and get 3 t-shirts. And we were lucky to find like 3 different backgrounds all in the same room. One of them, I think it's this one, I think he's actually sitting on the floor, and that iron panel is across the front of the bar. And see, told you, low budget.
The thing is, he's a good promo for a show.
Yeah,
and heavy breathing, and obviously bicep down the throat. I was like, right, okay. But yeah, again, it's Steve Carino. It's good stuff.
Ad break. And then back to Brent Town Hall and big black dot censorship over the middle finger of someone unhappy that Greg Lambert and the family are heading to the ring. Would you like to talk about censorship?
I was about to say yes.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. I will name drop the cunt. Kenny McBride. He's the reason all the stuff is as censored as it is. He dobbed the FWA into trading standards when they had their split because they were releasing videos uncensored as exempt. So generally, if you release stuff on home entertainment media in the UK, it should go through the BBFC, the British Broader Film Classification, which costs money, and then they put a certificate. They give you a certificate that you then have to put on all of the things. So it's, U, PG, 18, 15, whatever, all of that stuff, right? Wrestling used to be classed as exempt because it was a sport, but not for very long because the BBFC quickly cottoned on that it was a load of old shit.
Well, I'll tell you something with this, Kieran. You remember the VHS WWF Action?
Yes.
I think that ended up being an 18.
That's an 18. I've got the DVD.
I don't know if I've told you the story, but I remember going into WH Smith in Rochdale to buy this with me wage I got from me MVQ training. So like 50 quid for a week, cash in hand. And going into WH Smith trying to buy this VHS WWF Action. Can't sell yet. You're not at the age. I was 18. You know, I'm quite tall. I look older than the age. So I didn't get it. So I went home. Dad, can you go and buy me the VHS WWF Action? Why won't they give me? Oh, I'm not old enough. What does it look like? Well, it has a picture of Trish Stratus in a bikini. All right, then. And this old in me dad, but yeah, I had to describe what the VHS looked like. But that's one of the ones I remember being in 18, and the actual contents of the VHS, there were nothing.
It's an 18 because it has the bark like a dog segment on it.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
which never aired on TV in the UK. It was cut from Sky's broadcast.
Yeah, same as Canada. Who to get rid of it. Yeah.
So old Kenneth McBridge went to Trading Standards and went, this lot are putting out wrestling tapes with blood and guts and barbed wire all over it. Surely they should have an 18 certificate, right? And so to continue selling stuff, I had to like censor stuff like to the hilt. Particularly, it was different. It's a little bit different for TV than for when I did the DVDs later on. But like, we had to catch everything, and to that extent, like the DVDs are horrible. Sorry, anybody who bought them, but they are like they're all censored to shit. And yes, I know it was him because he pretty much told me when I met him at a show afterwards. We were talking. I can't remember how it came up, but we ended up talking about censorship, and I said, you know, Jesus, like it's been a right pain in my ass, and he just sort of waggled his eyebrows at me, and I'm like, was it you? And he waggled his eyebrows again and walked off. You fucking bastard. Anyway,
you fucking grass.
Yes. So we have our favourite page turn transition, and Lambert has the mic. He's yelling at the fans, saying they've never given him or the family any respect. They've been spreading rumours of the family's demise and putting ideas in Paul Travell's head that he should split off and become their hardcore hero. The crowd chants, "Shut the fuck up," to which Lambert irritably replies, "No, I won't. I'll carry on." He finishes by blaming the fans for Travell getting satellite uprising and the family's subsequent loss. Family theme hits again, and here comes 2004 bootcut jeans, street clothes Paul Travell with a large barbed wire wrapped baseball bat. Quick aside, he once idly asked me to hand him that thing, and it nearly took my arm off. It is much heavier than you might think.
He looks like when he's walking in, he's holding a shit in. With the way his face is looking.
He's walking in character, yes.
Like pained, like shit in being held.
Is that going to be the title of the episode? Holding a shit in. So Paul takes a bit of spiritual advice from the bat, and the page turn speeds him into the ring where he now has the mic. He puts the bat down, he beckons Greg in close and then grabs him by the tie. And when the others make a move, he says he'll break Lambert's nose and then come swinging for them, and Greg makes them back off. He says, "I remember the days when the family was good. Just me and the Messiah, Brandon Thomas. And me, Paul," says Ian De Silva. "No one cares about you," yells Travell, and then Parker comes over to give Ian a hug. I pissed myself.
I fucking howled at this one. Back in your box, Ian Disciple.
Yes. Travell tells Greg that he despises him. He's nothing but a parasite and a cancer. He says Lambert has the time it takes for him to turn around and pick up Mr. Pointy, named after Buffy the Vampire Slayer's favourite steak, to give him some answers, or he's going to take them all out with the bat. And then Greg immediately goes into damage control mode. He's frantically saying he didn't mean what he said, things are going to change, Paul needs the family more than he needs the fans, and that Travell's Messiah has forsaken him. But Lambert has found a new leader, someone more devious and dominant than Brandon Thomas ever was, and he will give him all the answers he needs. Alom then does the perfect zoom into Greg's face, catching him, like breaking into this maniacal grin as Drew McDonald's music hits. Yes, looking like absolute shit in black jogging bottoms, high-tech magnums, wraparound shades, a family t-shirt, and a bum bag. Here comes Drew McDonald. No joke, I know someone who left the show when Drew came out. Another page turn so we don't have to watch a goth Easter egg try to get in the ring. And then Lambert hands the mic off to the new leader of the family. Drew says, it's time for a few home truths. You'll be glad I'm not going to try and do the impression throughout all this. This went on forever.
Oh, we're going to get the return of the impression.
That was for you, Paul.
Oh, the Messiah turned his back and ran out on Travell, just like another Messiah did 2,000 years ago. The only thing that matters in life is your family. He says he knows Paul went through a lot of pain when he got set on fire and wants revenge, and claims that now he's the leader, he'll make sure that revenge happens.
I tell you what Drew did well here. He blocked out them what chants, didn't he?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, there was a lot of what. He says, there's no use blaming Mikey Whipwreck, though, for using the lighter fluid. They need to go back a stage further and look at who brought it to the ring in the first place. Ian Disciple. He knocks Ian to the mat and commands the other family members to finish him. And Drew says this is all for Travell. Doesn't he want to kick him too? But Paul refuses to join in. Parker brings the bell into the ring because Alex Shane and Jack Xavier had the only chair. And Drew holds it out for Travell. Do you want to hit him, Paul? Again, Travell doesn't move. So the family hold Ian in sacrifice position and we freeze frame Drew hitting Ian with the bell. Disciple is stripped of his t-shirt and hoofed out of the ring. I believe this is his final FWA appearance. Bye-bye, Disco Pants.
So long, sir. Yeah, Nigel McGuinness fucking like hair in this part.
He's been our figure of fun since this show started, pretty much, since we first saw him get the shit kicked out of him by Dino Scarlo. He
comes in getting the shit beaten over by Dino Scarlo. He leaves getting the shit kicked out of him by Drew McDonald. The old school have both destroyed this man.
Practically palindromic, this man's career. So McDonald carries on, saying after every fire, the only thing that's left is ash, and he rounds on ash. He says, at least Ian made it to the show. Where were you when a family member was in trouble? And again, he commands the others to pounce, and Raj and Scott batter him. Shame he spent all that time straightening his hair only to get beaten up. The crowd start chanting bum bag at Drew as they as the others give Ash a double Russian leg sweep. And Drew is still trying to get in Travell's head. He's saying this is all for him because his family love him. He then holds out the bell for Travell with the unfortunate line, "Take it, Paul. Feel how cold it is. Feel how hard it is," which pops the crowd. Ghosh and Parker hold Ash for the sacrifices. Drew asks Paul, are you with us or against us? And Travell decides he's with them, cracking Ash with the bell. This is also freeze frame, but my memory is that he was far kinder to Ash than Drew was to Ian. I love Parker's immediate celebration and dive onto Travell to hug him.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, Scott Parker doesn't get nearly enough credit for the little details he threw into his family character. So Paul is conflicted. Ash was lost. Raj sees it as a shortcut to success. Ian is the blind follower, but Scott is the one that genuinely loves being part of this group. He's just hanging out with his mates and doing evil stuff and having fun.
Is this Ash's last appearance as well, or does he?
This is the last time we will see him, yes.
Oh, thank God for that. One of my notes is when he were getting battered by Drew McDonald, oh shit, we're getting the new breed again, aren't we?
No, I believe we have now seen off both members of the new breed for the entirety of our timeline.
Yeah, what a day for celebration. The new breed have totally gone. Ian Disciple's gone.
Yeah. It's a shame you can't see into Andy's living room, listeners. He is running around and jumping about like Scott Parker was this news.
And as well, when Drew were on the mic, and I don't know if you watch OSW review, but him saying Paul over and over again with that.
Yeah.
All right, we like numbers games on this. How many times does Drew McDonald say Paul in this segment?
Oh, God. Are we rounding up?
20.
Okay, Andy's going for 20.
I'll go 25.
Eddie is closest, but still way off. I got a tally counter. It's 37.
It's like every time. And I get it. I get what they're doing. It's like the cult-like way of just trying to like build you in and show that you care about stuff like that. But just because it's in that fucking Scottish accent, which I know coming from me, it's just very, very funny and very, very sinister as well. But then he also does look like a man who's been left in the sun in Lanzarote for quite a wee while and just decides to wear
probably
nothing
has.
but black.
Yeah. So Drew finishes with, "Well done, Paul. Welcome back to the new family," as the others put a family shirt on Travell and he reluctantly does their crucifix pose on the ropes. For the most part, I like this segment. I do think it goes downhill when Drew is introduced as a new leader. I know why they did it, because like he was massively hated by the hardcore fans that made up most of the FWA's audience, and they wanted the family to have that heat. But he wasn't hated in a character sense. He was hated because he was old and fat and rubbish at wrestling. I think Lambert is really good. His promo at the beginning, and then when he's begging and pleading with Travell, not to hit him. Yeah,
I would say he does play. I did put he plays his role well as a cowering geek.
Yes,
and he has got the look of an insurance salesman as well in that coat.
Can I just say I enjoyed how happy Ian Disciple looked, even though we knew this was the end of Ian Disciple. I just loved how he's like, "And what about me?" And then I felt like Bambi's mum had been shot when he got kicked out, to be fair. I don't think I'll ever get over that, to be fair. I'm really,
Back to Atkins, as he says, "With the family back together as a stable unit, it was time to find out who the number one contenders are for their tag titles. It was due to be Duke and Simmons versus Stevie Knight and a mystery partner, but Duke is discovered attacked backstage, and we get a clip of a camera, me, running to a downed Duke surrounded by Atkins, Linsky and Fozzy, and I think maybe they did it. Anyway, Foz runs off to get some help as Simmons enters the shot to aid his fallen master, and Duke says he thinks his arm is broken again. It's hard to see in this low-res version we're watching, but in the background is actually a Sumner's bag."
Someone from Sumner's came in and decided to fucking attack.
You what? We're not editing the whole series? Right, I'll show them.
Now, quick question on this, because obviously we've the Duke of Danger, obviously, and we've had discussions about him before, obviously, on things. This man is just unlucky with injuries. Is this clearly like his entire career at this point, or like?
I don't know if he was actually hurt in any way. I mean, we will see why he is kept out of the match.
No, I get that, but it was like, it just feels like, because obviously there was another match he was supposed to be in, then obviously had the hand break, the arm break and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then this. I'm just wondering if maybe like someone's not seeing the potential in him and thinking, right, we're just going to keep you on these.
Yeah.
Like,
I think we've only seen him wrestle once.
I was going to say,
and that's the Uprising 2 match against Birchall.
Yeah.
Did we do, and you don't count the public workout because that was just a public.
No, because that's not a
workout.
match. That's just a segment. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just interesting. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. We go to our break, and then when we come back, it's John Atkins, and he says, "With the Duke out of action, many thought the Butler's chances of winning were slim to none. However, he found help in the most unlikely of places." And then in the ring, Stevie Knight is there with his mystery partner, George Castano. All I'm seeing is shaking heads. So Knight and Castano are gloating that they get to fight Simmons 2-on-1 when bong. No, it's not The Undertaker, but Birchall emerges, which means the match is going to be Stevie Knight and George Castano versus Simmons and Birchall.
I'd like to point out here as well the shirt and tie combo that Dean Ayas is wearing.
Yes.
I had that shirt and tie combo as well. It was from Burton's.
Is it the black shirt and purple tie?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Prince of Darkness has mentioned this before.
Yeah, no, Prince of Darkness. Yeah, that was me look in the transport office of 2002.
So George Castano's still going. What's happened to the other one? But George Castano's still cooking. Did he kill his brother? Did a drug deal go wrong?
The brother was the worst one, wasn't he?
I still have memories of that awful match where the tag, I think it was the freeway tag or something like that.
Yeah.
It just brings back awful.
Yeah. Hey, as well, just talking about fashion, we have to mention Paul Burchall with the surfer hair and Burton/Hollister necklace.
Oh, he is. This is the beginning of the transformation into sexy Hawaiian Birchall. It takes a while, but by the end of his run, it will have appeared.
Paul Burchill has sat and watched his Samoa Joe tapes and went, right, frosted tips, blonde hair, get the...
Yeah. Samoa Paul doesn't really work, does it? Or Winchester Paul, or Reading Paul, or wherever it was he was from. Right. Oh, it's Guildford, isn't it? Guildford, yeah. Samoa Joe versus Guildford Paul. Nah, it doesn't work. I liked that even Simmons was even cowering in the corner as Dean was doing his bit. Mr. Burchill, Mr. Ayers, and Mr. Simmons, massive pop, accept no responsibility for any broken bones. So Burchill wrecks George with the floating Northern Light suplex, the air raid crash. Simmons timidly tags in and tries to whip Burchill across corners into Castano, but can't shift him. So Burchill reverses and sends the screaming Butler hurtling across the ring into him. Simmons gets a 2 count off a neck breaker, but Castano comes back with a sweet power slam, possibly the best move we've ever seen him do.
Oh, yeah.
And a suplex before something is almost certainly edited out, as the cutaway to a pouting Buttercup is nowhere near long enough for George to get Simmons into the heel corner. Despite tagging in for a double clothesline, Stevie Knight just gets back out of the ring again so George can hit a compact little Liger bomb that Burchill breaks the pin on. You can take the man out of the UWA. Knight then tags in proper, but Simmons immediately batters him with a mixture of power and comedy and goes up for the 10 punch. But evil ref Steve Linsky yellow cards him for using a closed fish. A closed fish? A closed fist?
There'll be no room for closed fish.
Apparently not. Because probably because I was talking about battering. So says okay and unloads 10 elbows instead before Knight low blows him, which Linsky conveniently doesn't see. Simmons then takes his second Liger bomb of the match and we get a double tag. Castano actually flattens Burchill with a crossbody off the top, but gets sent flying across the ring off the kick out. I'm not sure if he was meant to stand up to it or not. Like, if he wasn't, like, they made the best of it with, like, the big power kick out. We cut to Simmons and Buttercup to cover whatever it is that Castano and Burchill are fucking up in the ring. Yeah, something clearly was not happening.
Except we don't see a powerbomb. We instead see Buttercup and Simmons. Why? And then obviously, like, right.
Yeah, we hear what might have been a powerbomb.
Yeah.
George gets flung halfway up the aisle and Stevie comes in to try his luck. Burchill no-sells a flurry of hard, loud, overhand chops, but not an eye poke. He then stands up to 2 clotheslines, ducks a third, and almost dumps Knight on his head with the C4. I think things have fallen apart a bit. Rolling Samoan crash, standing moonsault, standing shooting star press. Knight rolls outside. Burchill gives chase, where Castano tries a leaping Rana off the apron, but Burchill catches him and power bombs him onto the apron. They are 10 of Dynamite today, but this might have been the first time I ever saw someone take a powerbomb on the apron or a move on the apron like that. Like, this wasn't common in 2004.
Yeah, I like the moment where Adenius points to the camera and goes, and here we see a dead man.
Yeah.
I thought that was quite good.
I mean, it's like he said when he was on the show, like, Burchill's a babyface and it's tough being a babyface manager. Like, he's got to do something.
Yeah.
George gets flung back in, misses a couple of clotheslines, and takes what is now the lethal combination and an exploder from Burchill. Dean commands Burchill to leave, so the not legal Simmons hits the Butler Buster on the not legal Castano and gets the pin. And we close with Dean again shouting into the camera, putting all the FWA title holders on notice. 2004 is the year of Burchill, and he will have your gold. My recollection is this was cut down by about half for TV, and there is at least one botch edited out. But it's like what we get is fine, I guess. Stevie Knight's season-long quest to regain the tag title has begun. And what will the world of the FWA be now that Simmons and Burchill are seemingly aligned? Thoughts, comments, feelings, emotions?
Yeah, I enjoyed Stevie Knight's bleach hairdo.
It's like he had it done yesterday as well. Like, that looks fresh, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Or it's TV taping tomorrow. I better go and get the hair done.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as a tag team match. You can, when you were saying there that it's had quite a bit cut out of it, you can tell with these 2 episodes that a lot has been edited out. I don't know if it's just shit or fluff or nothing.
Well, so it's something that didn't happen when they moved to doing TV tapings. The matches all just stayed the same length.
Yeah.
There was never any concession to making matches fit television.
And there was you probably like thinking, shit, I've got to fit this into 45 minutes.
Exactly that. So the first cut of each episode, I would just lay it out in full.
Yeah.
Atkins segments, promos, videos, whatever, and then all the matches out in full. And I would have to squeeze like anything from 50 to 75 minutes into 45 minutes. Yeah. And some stuff just got to go. Like some stuff just got to be. I mean, it's worst on one of the later episodes when a 25-minute match, I think, is cut down to 6 to fit it on TV. Yeah.
What do you do there? Obviously, if it's a dug match, it's easy to cut because it's a lot of rest holds and being boring.
I mean, it's hack wherever you can. It's things like if spots are repeated. So, for example, let's say Jack Xavier whips Hayde Vanson from one corner to the other. Yeah. If they do that more than once in the match, that's getting compressed down to 2, and anything in the middle is gone.
Oh, you'd be cutting 24 minutes of 25 minutes of Jack Xavier.
I mean, you can tell, like, you can tell going into the next match and stuff that this has to be quickly done and quickly kind of all compressed for TV in terms of that. So, like, I've not been too cruel on you when I've been kind of watching them as far as, like...
I'm trying to help. I mean, you can like rag on the episodes all you want and all you need to, but like I just want people to try and understand like the constraints I was under. Like
that's
people
why
didn't understand at the time. I think I said like last month I had wrestlers coming up to me and getting angry that all of like their heat had been cut out, and I'm like, something's got to go, man. Like I don't have time to fit everything on. I just simply can't do it.
It's, again, I can understand the constraints and stuff like that. That's why kind of like when I'm watching stuff and I'm understanding with the how long the episode is and stuff like that, where I can understand things are kind of being changed. It's like when you, again, and we'll talk about it with the next bit, it just goes straight into it. There's no Atkins intro or anything like it. It's just straight into it.
On another point with this match, I'm guessing as we go along, probably Simmons will be like the scrappy dude where, you know, he tries and picks a good fight, but Burchill does all the work. Does like Duke of Danger will get a bit jealous that Burchill.
I'm giving nothing away.
I know. But it's interesting to see where they go, but
it's a twist in the story, isn't it? Like after spending the last year of Burchill versus Hampton Court.
Yeah, but it's funny how Burchill's become sort of sympathetic to, lovable scamp Simmons.
So, as you said, we go to an ad break and we come straight back. No Atkins, just under 10 minutes of TV time to go. And here's Johnny Storm in the ring, debuting the legendary XPW European title briefcase. He has a briefcase because the belt was never finished in time for the tournament. And it was never shipped over to the UK. It did exist. I have a photo of it. It now, I think it belongs to Kevin Kleinrock, who worked for XPW.
He also he was the creator of Wrestling Society X. Okay.
I think so, yes. Yeah. I think he has it. There's been like a video, he did like a Twitch stream or something, and it was on his wall behind him. But yeah, I have a picture of this thing. I think maybe 8 people have seen it in person. Oh, incidentally, I was interested to find out if the XPW European title ever got any mention on XPW TV, because they had a TV show at this time. Once. On the so the tournament was happening. The tournament happened, and then XPW quite quickly at the beginning of 2004 went out of business. Mm-hmm. Or in 2003, in fact, went out of business. And on the second to last TV show, in the opening, so they have their own version of John Atkins. And it's not an American bloke with a ukulele. Just their presenter just says like, and congratulations to Johnny Storm on becoming like the new XPW European champion. We're looking forward to seeing him on our TV show in the weeks and months to come. That kind of thing. And then they had one more TV show after that, and the company closed down.
I was thinking, was it used as a prop in Ultimate Cox 4, featuring Lizzie Borden?
That's definitely not the episode title.
He doesn't make his way ever over there then, I take it? No?
No, there was no XPW. XPW's gone.
Oh, right. Maybe he can come back and face such great names like Rob Shit or Slice Booty or Homeless Jimmy or a guy named Wicked Wicket. This would be, yeah. Fucking weird company that is.
Yeah, it certainly was. So Johnny, of course, claims the belt is in the case. But if any of you moronic peasants think you deserve to see it, you can all kiss my fat ass. Page turn, and we're into Johnny Storm versus Extreme for the XPW European title. This perked Andy up in our group chat. So, Andy, would you like to take the floor?
I can see it's been cut to ribbons, so some of the stuff that's been cut out of this must be really bad. But this as a 10-minute sprint for TV, fucking ace, absolutely ace. Who is this Extreme fella? I know he's from Germany, but
yeah. So his name is Florian Winbusch. He's from Cologne in Germany. Debuted in 2001 and was a regular for all the German feds at the time. So WXW, FCW, ACW, and GSW. This is his 10th singles match against Johnny out of 13 that they would have between 2001 and 2004.
Yeah.
Johnny would win 10 of them. And this is actually the first of 4 they would have in the space of a month.
Right.
And then Dream would retire in 2011.
Oh, bring him back.
But you're right. The pace of this on TV is wild.
Oh, it's just bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
I know you do like a regular watch and a notes watch. I bet your arm were going over 10 and it doesn't watch in there.
I'm glad I watched twice because otherwise I wouldn't have got the pace and I had to pause a lot to write down the notes. Yeah. They do a lot.
I know we do a final thing and like overall what do we think of the match, but I will say, folks, 4.25 out of 5.
All right.
Straight on my
So the opening rope rodding spot is lightning fast. And then Storm drop kicks Dream out the ring and squashes him with his Escalera cannonball. Page turn, back inside. Johnny gets Enziguri to the floor where it's his turn to take a twisting quebrada off the top rope. Page turn, back inside again where Storm cheats his way out of a lockup, but Dream turns the tables, springing over him with a split leg backflip, doing something with his feet, and then a full vertical split into a leg drop.
Well, Kieran, when you say page turn, I'm half expecting a thumb to pop out from the corner of the screen with like
Yeah. X climbs the buckles, but Storm shoves Steve Cox into the ropes to knock him down. Wouldn't you know, it's an FWA match with someone getting crotched on the top turnbuckle to lead to a transition. Storm then debuts his spectacular new move, the double jump headlock. He does eventually, this was my favourite heel Johnny Storm move. Every time, loved it. He does eventually hit a Hurricane Rana. Page turn, thumb across the screen, and Johnny is in control with a chin lock. But we have to keep this episode moving, so it's not long before X fights his way out and hits a blind backward spring off the middle rope into a wheelbarrow position and then into a springing bulldog off the top. He follows with a fireman's carry into a spinning face slam and most of a tornado DDT. Storm kicks out. Page turn again, and Storm is magically on top, parking Dream on the top rope. X shoves him off and is going to give it to him with a shooting star press, but Storm rolls clear. How high did he have to get to land on his feet doing that shooting star press?
Yeah.
I know the camera angle was low, but it looked like he came down from about 18 feet. So he lands on his feet, wallops Johnny with his finisher, the 0G kick. It's basically a running shooting star, but catching a bent over opponent under the chin with his foot as he goes over. Storm kicks out as the fans chant, "Ref looks tired," and it is true, Cox looked like he could do with a sit down and a cuppa. Johnny boosts Extreme onto the second rope and brings him down with a cracking Poison Rana. And again, don't forget, this was much more rare in 2004. When Dream kicks out, Storm signals for the Wonderworld, but X flips out of it onto his feet and sort of hits Shelton Benjamin's Dragon Whip kick. It probably could have gone a bit better. Johnny staggers into a corner and uses it as a cover to pull the top turnbuckle pad off. While the ref is putting it back on, Storm dinks Dream on the head with the briefcase and goes for the pin. Dream's kick out is great and pops the crowd like they thought it was over.
Yeah.
He breaks out of another Wonderwell and connects with a super kick and a beautiful shooting star press. The way he does it, he even like puts his hands behind his back as he goes. You know how like Rey Mysterio does the springboard splash?
Yeah.
It's that, but a shooting star. Looks incredible. X tries to drag Storm up, but he's dead weight. As Cox steps in between them to check if Johnny is conscious, Storm springs into life, hits the Wonderwell, and wraps him up as tight as he can for the pin. And then afterwards, Johnny beckons the camera to come in for a peek at the belt, but snaps the case shut as soon as the lens gets too close. You said 4.25. I can't rate this because so much is obviously cut out. But I think what we see is very good and, quite frankly, ahead of its time. Although, at the time, there were people who hated this, both live and on TV.
I think at the time when this was taking place, they fucking enjoy it, won't they? Everything's buddy. Boing boing.
There were people, I remember like hearing people say like in person on the UKFF that X Dream was shit and they should never bring him back.
No.
Eddie, opinions?
Sorry, I just love the way that Andy said no. There was like Emperor Palpatine and fucking Revenge of the Sith. It's like no. I can't give it a high rating because it's been chopped up, but I can say that Extreme was great, and I can say the bits that were in this were incredibly well done, and it was my cup of tea. So I'd probably go near enough 4. 3.75 because of just how it's done, but I can completely understand where Andy's coming from, because again, when you get those kind of sprint ones as well, they're really enjoyable when you kind of go through them. There's a line where it's like, is it Nick London who goes in a weird voice where he goes, "It's not cheating if the referee doesn't see it."
Yes.
Eddie, I was just about to say that his voice just goes like, "Don't know, no."
Yes.
Have you been injured at work? But yeah, like Extreme is very good, and I can see why they brought him over. And I think is he the last title defense that Johnny takes on, or is Johnny ever defending this belt again? Given the fact the company's dead.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The XPW European title was Johnny's like heel prop. Because everybody knows there's nothing in that briefcase, and he's keeping it up. Yeah,
I think it's a decent match to end the show, and obviously, they both clearly get along well with each other and can kind of are on the same wavelength for stuff. So yeah.
I mean, like, so Extreme basically looks like Peter Andre. He looks like a member of 3 Count, to be honest. He's just got shinier trousers than the others.
Oh, he's better than Evan Courageous.
I mean,
come on.
I think all of us are better wrestlers than Evan Courageous. I hope he's doesn't listen to this. Wouldn't that be weird if it turned out Evan Courageous, of all people, listened to a show about the FWA?
To be fair, we'd be a better 3 Count. We'd be a better version of them than them, so it's all right.
Eddie's the choreographer.
I can see Andy definitely becoming the Hurricane at some point,
So, as I mentioned, I have been doing HD remasters of various FWA video things that I have in my archive, and they've started to get uploaded onto the FWA Files YouTube channel. And it's been music videos so far and TV commercials. I've got a load of TV episodes, and I've also got a load of single matches which are uncut with no commentary on them. Yesterday I found the full version of this.
Oh,
I think it's getting the HD remaster treatment, including entrances and post-match. The TV version is missing almost 15 minutes.
Wow.
See? Do you see what I mean about the amount of stuff I had to cut out to squeeze everything into a 45-minute TV show?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But the thing was, Kieran, were these all done in like match order, how it was shown on the taping, or were it all jumbled?
Oh no, it was all jumbled up. So James Ty and the fellow with the stringy hair, 5-Star, was the opener of this show.
Right.
Like the Alex Shane versus Jack Xavier match was third from the top. And then I think that might have been followed by the Simmons tag and the family segment, and then it was the main event.
Yeah.
So no, it was never. We would have to figure out, like, after we'd shot the show, what order the matches were going in and what episode they were going on. Okay. I changed all that when I started doing RQW. We formatted the shows so a 3-hour show would be 4 45-minute TV episodes.
Yeah.
And I would have minimal editing to do afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, rather than like trying to take a full 3-hour show and then like cut it up later on, we did the segments, as they were. They were still an idea that these shows would be released on VHS or DVD in full, and they just weren't, because they had one video guy and he was busy putting together a TV show every week and didn't have time to do like VHSs and DVDs on top of that. So what do we reckon to this episode then? I think it packed in a lot, but like some of the editing was misplaced. Like, we should have had less family and more Storm versus Extreme. But as I pointed out, like, it's a constant problem with this show. But
then again, if you added another 5 minutes onto Storm and Extreme, maybe my rating would have gone down.
Well, like I said, I watched it and it wasn't really like crap that was cut out. I mean, there was a bit of like Storm stalling cut out.
Yeah.
And but like there's 2 whole Johnny Storm heat segments that have been cut.
Right.
And he's not sitting around doing nothing during those.
No.
I think that match is a candidate for a lost Gem HD remaster and to go up on the channel.
Definitely so. I think overall as an episode, at least we got to see the finish of the Carino Doug match, even though it had the ref bumps. The family segment was good. Just see the end of Action, Ian Disciple. Thumbs up from me despite all the edits.
You did what you could do. I thought the matches were okay. Again, I can understand. Again, I sympathize with you because the amount of kind of like editing you have to do in certain things. So like, but I thought this was fine. I think there's some stuff that you've brought into this, like the beginning with the kind of hype video for the thing. Point of no return playing while Atkins is running down, because then it gives it some kind of atmosphere rather than nothing at all.
Burrs tweeting floorboards squeaking in the studio.
Yeah, but I thought, this was fine. This was a fine show. You did okay.
Bear in mind, this is 3 weeks in. I still don't know what I'm doing. And I don't think I knew what I was doing by 26 weeks in, to be honest.
And the YouTube video ends with a bloody Hulk Hogan, so it's a win-win for everyone.
On to episode 10, aired June the 10th, 2004. Cold open on a segment that goes viral every few years. CM Punk's promo in Brent Town Hall lobby. He walks out of the main auditorium out to where the crowd are waiting with a camera backing up in front of him. And he asks what the main pastime is here in England, because it sure isn't wrestling. You'd think every person in this crowd is here to see wrestling, but they're not, because there's a bar just over here. What are you here, Four Eyes? He yells in the face of our mate Gadge. And we also see a spiky-haired Ben Corrigan behind him. Gadge's wobbly voice retort of, "To see you wrestle," is largely lost, unfortunately. Ben has been ribbing Gadge about this for 21 years.
The face-to-face, as we did in our group chat. Get that, black and white, My Way Limp Biscuit. Let's just keep putting on a lip. We should put that up on the Blue Sky or wherever, because that was love you, Gadge.
Punk fronts up on Andy Preston, who was a prominent member of the UKFF under the name TDK, who tells him he's here for beer. And Punk says, "You're a loser and your dad probably beat you when you were a kid." Andy takes a swig and dribbles some as he goes, "Beautiful," to which Punk brilliantly ad-libs, "He's so drunk he can't even keep the poison in his mouth." Fun fact, this man now is or was a policeman. Punk says he believes in 3 things: no drugs, no alcohol, and no promiscuous sex. We'll ask the divas of 2007 onwards about that. And he is a fine, upstanding individual. And if these fans came to see him, they came to see someone who is better than them. He says England is known for soccer, but he's here to wrestle, to destroy Raven, and to destroy all of Raven's fans. He doesn't quite get the reaction he's hoping for when he yells, "Who's a Raven fan here?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's a Raven fan? And people just go, alcohol. beer.
They do, yes, they do have a chant alcohol at him. And he replies, keep drinking, I want you to die. You smoke too, keep smoking. And then he makes his way back into the auditorium and he says, drink up England, I want your liver to fail. Smoke up England, I want you to die. And here tonight, in the ring, just like he did in America, he's going to dominate Raven. And your time in the FWA will be nevermore. And you can quote that, bitch. 5 stars.
Yeah.
Electric promo. Fucking great.
Well shot as well, I would say. It's very much like, when Jey Uso has his entrance shot on the Monday Night Raw, like right through the crowd and what have you. I thought it was excellent.
So I shot this. The camera is wobbly because I was walking backwards with Fozzie hanging onto my belt to guide me and keep people out of the way. And camera gimbals weren't a thing yet. There is also a guy in a white hoodie following behind Punk to keep people off from behind. And as you can see, the floor is uneven. We go up and down steps. And like I said, I'm having to do that backwards while keeping Punk in shot. The other thing is, we had one shot at this. You can't do a retake of this. Anything goes wrong and we have to scrap it. And I think we just about held it all together. I believe it was Alex's idea to have him go out into the people to do something different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I've got one complaint with it. It's a promo from a visitor. It's got nothing to do with an ongoing FWA story.
Yeah, it's just the intro. It's just another chapter in the CM Punk. I've put the guy who currently keeps burning bridges with wrestling companies and creepy old man Scott. I was gonna say it's a good promo. It's good to see everyone's a fan. The visitors are big fans of World One with their t-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Phil is just Punk is just charismatic. It works.
Yeah.
And again, I love you, Gadge, just for squaring up to him for a little bit. It's just so funny to see him like that. But yeah, and again, I think is this another one of, because they've been having the feud in Ring of Honor.
Ring of Honor,
TNA?
yeah.
Yeah, they went all over, didn't they?
Because in TNA, where they were part, I'm assuming he would have been, at this point, it would have been Punk and De Niro as the Gathering.
It would,
De Niro as the Gathering. Because there's an awful match, well, not an awful match, but there's a match where it's Punk and De Niro versus Terry Funk and Sandman on a TNA show.
So what we are going to see on this episode is the last ever CM Punk versus Raven match. They'd done Raven Sabu versus Punk and De Niro on TNA the month before this, but they had been the feud had started back in 2003. They've been feuding for about a year.
Kieran, I will say with Punk, his time in the FWA, did he face any of the British guys?
So this was the first date of a mini tour, and he did all 3 dates.
Yeah.
So we have 2 more CM Punk matches on FWA TV coming up.
Right.
On future episodes. Opening titles, and here's Mr. Atkins to tell us we're getting Mark 5-star Belton versus Johnny Storm and Punk versus Raven this week. But first, the family defend their tag titles. It is Raj Ghosh and Paul Travell versus Murat Bosporus and Damon Lee. Taped at the Morecambe Dome on April the 8th. Murat Bosporus is German-born of Turkish descent and who, by request, has had his cage match profile removed. Yes. He wrestled all over Europe and in Noah, and then was instrumental in the setting up of Turkish Power Wrestling, Turkey's first ever pro wrestling promotion that did shows that regularly drew in the thousands. A link to work in a Reslo, Andy, trained in part by Tony St. Clair.
All right.
Also, I think you are better placed to tell us about Damon Lee, because I don't think I've seen Damon Lee wrestle since this tour.
Yeah, and the Damon Lee I know, he's been Dangerous Damon Lee, Deadly Damon Lee. He also did a gimmick where the crowd would say to him he was a chicken, and he'd constantly do, "I'm not a chicken," while waving his arms around like a chicken. One of his best matches, it's on YouTube. It's from a Future Shock December show. It's I think it's like a dumpster match.
I've seen. Yes, all bins illegal.
All bins illegal.
That is a great match.
Yeah, with James Drake of Grizzled Young Veterans fame, which is brilliant. They do a spot where James Drake puts like Kentucky Fried Chicken buckets on Damon's arms.
Yes,
and he adds one on his head, and he starts moving in the chicken pose, and it's so funny.
Yes, brilliant match.
The difference with the Damon Lee that was seen on here to now, well, nowadays, he's lost his hair, and he's also grown a terrible back tattoo. I'd mainly see him in Future Shock, where he's been heavyweight champion. He had a good run as heavyweight champion over the last couple of years. GPW as well, where I've seen him quite a bit. He's plays very much the fan favourite there, whereas Future Shock is more the grizzled veteran along the line with like Joey Hayes and Sam Bailey. They're that type of wrestler.
Very much not a grizzled veteran here.
No,
he is lanky and skinny and green,
and he's bursting out bloody split-legged moonsaults as well, which
he is.
Never
yes.
seen from him.
So, would we like the usual play-by-play, or would you like the poem I wrote about this match?
Poem.
Okay. This match goes longer than it should. Also, it's not very good. Dissension in the family. Raj steals the pin on Damon Lee.
I'm in love with Murat Bosporus. I'm just going to be straight here. I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks.
The complete silence after that means I will not be writing any more poems about wrestling matches.
Good poem. But let's just get into the part that I need to talk about. This man is a beast. Get the rocket strap to that boy.
He is
right away.
Yeah, he's small and stocky. He's maybe 5'6", but he's really heavy set and he was very strong. I also remember he was a really sweet guy, and I never saw him without a smile on his face. So, I mean, I did write notes, but for fuck's sake, like this should have been a squash and goes twice as long as it should.
I think you should just, for listeners, just imagine Omid Jalili in a singlet.
Not quite.
I love the fact that I was gonna pair him to like a kind of a Yuji Okabayashi, and you've just compared him to one of my bullies. So there we go. We're just going for bold people. But he's like the fucking WWE had a hard on if they saw this guy. Unfortunately,
no, they wouldn't. He's small. If he was 6'6", they would.
Taz,
if he was taller, yeah. He's so good. He's so good.
Yeah. So, I mean, the family beat up Damon. Bosporus gets the hot tag, flings people around with suplexes. I got very sick of Nick London's gag of getting his name wrong. No Greg Lambert at ringside as manager, because in Morecambe he's the babyface promoter and didn't want to confuse the audience by then also coming out as the heel manager.
Yeah. And it's still really Morecambe as well, so they couldn't have done anything.
Exactly. Yes. Travell goes into orbit off a released German suplex, and then Lee hits that split-legged moonsault that Andy likes so much. Ghosh and Murat fight around ringside. Travell drops Lee with a TKO and goes up for the bloodshot splash. Raj reappears, takes himself in, hits the Ghostbuster, gets the pin. Paul confronts Raj after the match, and we go to the break. Challengers get too much offense. How exactly did Bosporus and Damon Lee earn their title match if last week we crowned number one contenders in Simmons and Birchall? How did they become the number two contenders to the tag title? These two men who've never teamed before, and I believe never team ever again.
It's a completely different venue as well, so it kind of throws you off a little bit as well.
Yes. I mean, spoiler for what's coming up. I hate when we had to switch venues mid-show. It happens twice in this episode. It's just so... That's one of the things that cheapens the show, I think. Like, everything taped in one venue should be a block. And then when you move on to a new venue, you don't see anything else from the previous one.
Whereas this probably feels like one of them cobbled together highlight tapes what WWF put out in the 90s.
I mean, as we discovered with the last episode, aren't all these cobbled together highlight tapes?
Well, yeah. When you said earlier, though, about this match not being good, Kieran, I don't know what you were watching, mate.
You liked it?
Yeah, I would have gone about 3.25, 3.5 on this.
Fucking hell, I went 1.5.
I was watching this on the way home from work, and I thought, actually, this was actually pretty good. Technically sound, but your man Bosporus with his suplexes. I had that vision. You know, remember like Brock Lesnar to Keith Lee. Oh, big boy. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed Damien Lee. I know the like new face is getting a bit too much offense, but then again, Paul Travell's there to be chucked around and told. So yeah, I didn't mind it.
I think I'm glad that Andy likes it. Again, I just love Bosporus throwing people about. Like, and again, I've now set, because obviously, unfortunately, his cage match is down. Like, I was suddenly realizing this guy, before I even knew anything about him, has like taken on Go Shiozaki and Takashi Sugiura, and I'm just like, what? It's interesting because if you're coming into this from the next week, and again, you don't know who Damon Lee is, and you don't know who Bosporus are, it's kind of a case of, yeah, and I get you don't want to start off with maybe the Punk Raven match to begin with, but it's like,
yeah, and commentary don't explain either. No,
it's not.
Yeah, you will be pleased to hear we do get more Murat Bosporus matches.
Yay.
I don't know how many. There's at least one more, I do believe.
I hope it's Murat Bosporus versus Paul Burchill.
Can I ask just quickly? See, FWA's kind of booking, like, obviously Extreme and obviously now Bosporus, and both of them were heavily within the German scene and stuff like that. There's no relationship with WXW yet or anything like that, is there? It's just kind of maybe word of mouth.
I mean, so people like Doug and Johnny and, like, I mean, it's always been a thing that British wrestlers go over and work in Germany. And like WXW were to Germany what the FWA was to the UK at the time, I do believe. So they've been around like this roughly the same amount of time. They were like the more like hardcore shows.
Yeah,
you know, they were the promotion that didn't have barriers, and the crowd just stood around the ring and banged on the apron.
And they would have them tag teams at the time, you know, Long and Thick and the 69ers, who always popped up on them parade of tag team champions, you know, when we go on them Germany weekends.
And he's gone back to the Rob Black archive again.
Rob Shit. Just get a guy named Rob Shit. Have him as your champ. So there's not anything there. They're just kind of, they're two separate companies.
No, it's not like it's not what you call like a working agreement. It's not like there's not going to be an invasion angle or anything like that. But like, you know, guys from the UK have always gone there, and you know, there's space for. We are going to get a WXW guest match coming up. I don't remember when. That's a few months down the line, I think, for us.
Okay. But just it's good to see that. Obviously, as I say, these people are coming over from there as well. So yeah.
So back from the ad break, black and white promo with Raven and his Samuel L. Jackson in Pulp Fiction hair in his locker room. He says he can never get enough of beating up CM Punk, maybe because when he was teaching him, Punk always thought he knew better. He says the sound his hand makes slapping Punk's face is bloody brilliant. He says he's going to slap that bloody stupid toe rag until he pukes. Then he's going to reach down his throat, pull out his intestines and feed them back to him. And I'm like, mate, actually, you're probably going to do a drop toe hold onto a chair and a DDT. He finishes up by saying it's a treat to come to England and beat up CM Punk. It's going to be one hell of a trip, quote the blah, blah, etc., etc. Spectacularly low effort compared to CM Punk's to open the show. John Atkins then tees up the next match, saying that beforehand, Johnny Storm was telling everyone that would listen that the match was beneath him because he only wanted to face imports. But Mark Belton proves why he's here to stay in the FWA.
Quick one, Kieran, before you get on to the next match. Raven, what year is this?
2004.
Fucking hell. I was wondering what age you were. Same age as me, 40-year-old. He looks fucking outdated, doesn't he?
So he isn't actually 40 yet. He's 39 when this happened. Yeah. Yep. You were saying about you look older than your age. Oh, Raven is.
He's had a rough paper round up them cobbles, hasn't he?
He certainly has. So we then go to the second worst venue that the FWA would run for this series. It's March 27th, the day after the Brent show, Southbury Leisure Centre in Enfield. The walls in this place are so green, I was able to pull a green screen key off some shots for a hype video later in the year. It's horrible. The show also was a bit controversial within the FWA, but I think I'll leave that hanging there until more matches have aired. So, Nick London muddies the waters by announcing that the next challenger for the XPW briefcase is to be Sanjay Dutt, and then calls this a non-title match, despite Atkins, I'm pretty sure, telling us at least once that this was a title match.
Correct.
Yeah. Tony Giles doubles down, so who knows? They also remind us that Firestar is the number one contender for the big belt as per his victory over James Ty a few weeks ago. We start off with Belton taking advantage of Storm not taking him seriously, and they do some holiday camp comedy stuff with Johnny getting his fingers stepped on and having his arse bashed into the mat. I noticed some kids are watching for free through an upstairs window.
Yeah, I pointed out, I was like, great, they can see from above. Wonderful.
Did you notice on the wide shots, though, there was another window that had loads of black paper up over it? Yeah. Storm tries to get Trixie with a knuckle lock, but Firestar jumps on his toes and then drop kicks him right up the hole to send him outside. We get a bare bum spanking spot, so we are back to Rob Black, and some head scissors comedy before Johnny is made to regret a slap, getting his leg kicked out of his leg and gets crushed against the railing with a tope, and we go to an ad break. When we come back, Storm is getting control with his lovely double corner hop Rana, a Michinoku driver, and the middle rope moonsault. Firestar gets the better of a punching exchange, grabs 2 counts with a fisherman suplex and a top rope drop kick. Johnny pokes him in the eye and unleashes the combination he calls the Fantastic Four. A flying forearm into the corner, a headlock with a series of kicks where he has to grab his own foot, a face slam onto the knee, and a running enziguri. Firestar tries a tornado DDT, but Storm counters. Belton catches him running in with a boot and connects with the 5-star leg drop, which is a very nice leg drop off the top rope. He's very slow to cover, though, and Storm kicks out. Belton then reverses a reverse suplex into a reverse DDT, and I think I've said reverse too much for one sentence. When that doesn't get the pin, he tries a running lariat, which is counted into the Wonder Whirl. Storm, though, is knackered and takes ages to cover. These two are not Triple H and Booker T, though, so Belton gets a shoulder up. They collide with dueling crossbodies and then trade Malenko Guerrero cradles for a series of 2 counts. Johnny gets another 2 count off the Superman pin. They do some more cradle reversals. Belton flips out of a backslide and pulls Storm into a small package for 1 more. Johnny grabs another with the Oklahoma roll before Belton gets sent into a full backflip, landing on his feet. Hey, same as Paul Travell did in the tag match, I noticed. I'd yell at the agents, but these matches were taped 2 weeks apart. He ducks a clothesline and comes back with a rebound crossbody off the middle, but Storm struggles through it to get him onto his back and grabs a big old handful of trousers and scores the pin. After the bell, Firestar gets his heat back by nicking Johnny's hat and putting him in a combination. It's a combination of the trailer hitch and a Romero special. When Storm comes to get his hat back, he grabs the briefcase, but Storm recovers to clip him in the back of the head, retrieve the case, and retreat up the aisle. I don't know what was cut during the break, but I think this is 11 to 12 minutes of pretty good action. Not giving too much away with 1 more to go. Easily the best match on this episode.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think it was quite. I mean, there were some interesting bits where it's obviously they're saying at the beginning whether James, Belton has to prove himself in the FW, and it's he beat James Ty. He's already kind of proved himself, depending on when this was and also when that was and stuff like that.
This was the day after that.
Yeah, right. Okay, and then. There's a more where I thought this was a good match. You could hear the horn going off, so I immediately put is Ben in the house.
Yes, Ben and Martin Kirby are sitting front row.
Yep, figured that. And there's a bit where Nick wants to say Johnny was going to make Mark his bitch, but he just says pal instead, and I'm like, okay. You censor yourself. I thought the pinning sequence on this was brilliant. I really enjoyed that and stuff like that. I thought this was, I think I'd agree with you, best match of the show so far.
Firestar won you over last time out, didn't he, Andy?
He did, yeah, and I think that's continuing here. It's not as good as the extreme match. Nothing will be. Don't you think as well? 5-star looked like a wrestler who would follow him on this show. CM Punk, he was going for that look, weren't he, with the long blonde hair and pleather kecks. No, but I thought it was an excellent match. 5-star belt, and actually looks decent as a wrestler, and the look as well. I think he was baby oiled up the
look will improve.
Yeah, but he probably wouldn't look out of place at the time.
So he wouldn't look out of place, but that's not necessarily a good thing.
No.
We are
on the higher end of good.
Yeah, so we are watching, though, like VHS that's then gone onto YouTube.
Yeah.
In person, a lot of his gear looked terrible.
Yeah.
There is one particular pair of trousers he has that I think his mum sewed the stars onto. It was really cheap.
Yeah.
But like I said, his look will change like coming up throughout this season for the better.
And that what you mentioned, that submission he did after the match, that looked painful as fuck.
Yeah. So we cut to Stevie Knight berating George Castano for losing their match against Simmons and Burchill. He says they lost because George can't speak English and wasn't communicating with him. And when George isn't getting it, Stevie clips him around the ear, tells him he's fired, and walks off. Breakout leave the memories alone because it's the last time we will see George Castano for this podcast.
Get in.
He only wrestles one more match for the FWA, but it happens outside of our timeline.
Stevie Knight looked like he was someone who would cut a promo and working for Fathers for Justice or something like that at the time. Sometimes when I keep looking at this.
How old is George Castano here?
23.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd go 25.
22.
There we go. I figured it because again, we saw them from the beginning and they looked very young. So
yeah. How old is grizzled, battle-hardened, already retired once veteran Stevie Knight?
Probably about 35.
Mm-hmm. Eddie?
When's this? 2004?
2004. Yeah.
2004. I'm trying to think. Obviously, when I met him last year, adding 20 years on it, it's probably about 35.
Okay.
I'll go 33.
28.
Fuck off.
He is 28 years old when this was shot.
Is he still going?
He doesn't wrestle.
Don't wrestle. I do see him a couple of times a year in Cleethorpes. They bring him out of the back and he's like, "Here's Stevie Knight." But I never had him. I had him older than 50. Sorry, Stevie.
He started at like 14 years old.
Wow.
And remember, like when we watched UWA, like how composed he was then, and all the rest of it. Yeah, he was 23 doing that because that's 5 years before this.
Well, then again, I think we've said it on what we've reviewed before. He's a great talker, isn't he?
Yeah,
really. Yeah.
From one great talker to another, Dean Ayers and Burchill promo in a stairwell. Dean asks and answers the question, why did Burchill come to the aid of Simmons last week after they battled Hampton Court for most of the past year? He says the problem was never Simmons, it was always the Duke of Danger pulling strings. Simmons was a courageous fighter who's earned their respect. Opportunity simply presents itself. Simmons needed a partner and Burchill didn't have an opponent, and now they're number one contenders to the tag title. And it further underscores that Ayers and Burchill will do what they want, when they want, and nobody can stop them. Your main event, CM Punk versus Raven. Ring announcer John Atkins and commentator Nick London both claim this is Raven's European debut. This is true for the character, but Scotty Flamingo was on the 1993 WCW tour of the UK and Ireland where Sting and Vader traded the title. Although, I will say, he has not been back since then. As Tony Giles explains Straight Edge, I'm looking at that great high-up shot of the ring at Brent Town Hall and thinking, why didn't we just mount the lights on the top of the crossbar instead of the bottom? Then they wouldn't be in the way of the shot. Really handy to have that thought 21 years too late.
I was thinking as well, I don't know if it was you who was doing the very close-up shots, but there was too much close-up camera work on this match.
You don't want to be that close to Raven or CM Punk?
No.
guys-
It's just very out of focus and what have you. Didn't it probably sort of ruined me enjoyment of the match.
Will we come back to this lovely venue? Because I enjoyed it. It was quite a nice new venue.
Yeah. FWA ran 2 shows there, and we've got one more to come later on in the year.
Oh, brilliant. Fantastic.
I'm trying to think if now all the matches have aired. All the matches that will air from this venue have.
Yes, because this is New Frontiers, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, all of them have aired. This is the last one.
So, Raven chucks Punk out the ring a couple of times, but Punk is too quick for the old man to get his hands on him and slithers back inside. Raven runs him down over the mic, saying he didn't come all the way over here just to chase some non-drinking, non-drugging mama's boy. He does his usual cod philosophical bollocks, quoth the Raven, ad break. Back from the break, and the pace is picked up with Punk cheating. He's using the face wash. He's getting a 2 count off a suplex. Babyface Raven fires up out of a chinlock with elbows and punches and clotheslines. Babyface fired up Raven is weird, particularly during his second fire up later on in the match. That is a character that should always be a heel. He can do it, but it feels wrong.
Yeah, it does feel wrong because Annie perennially been a bad guy most of his career.
He's only, I mean, is it in a couple of runs in TNE? Barely has he been a face.
Yeah.
ECW, I don't think he ever was a face. He was always a bad guy, wasn't he?
Yes, but he was he became a popular character.
Yeah,
if not necessarily a babyface. Raven grabs for the DDT, and after a whopping 2 minutes of actual televised wrestling action, gets run back into referee Mike Bishop, who gets squashed in the corner. Manages to keep both his shoes on this time, though. Raven keeps the face lock on and hits the DDT, but because he's now a dumb babyface, goes for a cover, and with no ref, doesn't get the win, obviously. Punk punches Raven in the belly from behind and rolls him up in time for the ref to wake up and award him a 2 count. They battle up the aisle where Punk gets a suplex reversed on the ramp. Raven wanders backstage and returns with the only metal folding chair the FWA brought with them that night. He whacks Punk with it, the ref doesn't give a shit, and turn the page, we're back in the ring.
I was going to say, it's a guest match. I was like, I assume the guest match has rules include no DQ on this, because it's just him with a chair.
Oh yeah, this was presented as like an international guest match, wasn't it?
Yeah, so
that's what they said on commentary.
Yeah, like the ref bump then means hee-haw, because not like there's any cheating happening at any. Like if you can hit him with a chair, then it really wouldn't matter about doing that.
No, like, it was. I mean, it was so Raven could hit the DDT but not win, and so Punk could punch him in the balls. So the chair gets set up and Punk is in control. He rams Raven's face into it, and this thing doesn't look like it's going to survive the night. It looks like it would explode if someone tried to sit on it. Punk does an uppercut mule kick thing, then gets caught coming out the ropes with the drop toe hold into the chair. Raven with jabs and a discus clothesline, followed by the chest first whip into the buckles and lariat combo, knee lift, corner squash, bulldog, 2 count. Page turn and they're on the top rope. Punk is setting up for the Virgin Cola violence, but Raven backdrops him into the ring. Punk signals for the DDT. No, he doesn't. Raven signals for the DDT because it's his move. Punk counters it into an ace crusher, hits the Shining Wizard, gets the pin, and we're off the air before Atkins has finished announcing him as the winner.
Yeah.
This was crammed into the end of the show. I think there's 6 minutes, 7 minutes, including the entrances.
Yeah, a bit of a disappointment, this one.
I don't think the match is that good anyway. No. I had a look around. I don't think it's ever shown up in full anywhere.
I was just thinking, watching it, like, this is very much, we're working in front of some pissed up Brits. Go easy tonight, they'll lap anything up.
It was the house show version of this feud, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was. It's pretty much you're working in front of, you've done everything, you've got their money, they're already in, just kind of half-arse it. Old man, young man, half-arsing it. And a lot of this kind of is a bit off, because there's like bits where Tony is just all over Nick's lines in the commentary and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a weird bit, isn't there? Someone does a move, and then one of them says what it was, and then the other one says what it was in the same matter-of-fact voice, and then carries on.
Yeah, and then there's a moment where it's like there's a big move and like there's a bit where I think Nick's trying to talk about if there's going to be a prize or anything like that, and then Tony just completely interrupts him and stuff like that, and it just feels like everything's all over each other. There's that moment where Punk has to jump clearly extra for the flying forearm at a point as well. It just feels like a bit of a shit show, and basically these two phoning it in heavy and then some at that point.
Eddie, regards the commentary, I know you've pointed out them sort of like talking over each other and that, but do you think on this wrestling channel, and I know it's only in its infancy, but you don't really hear as much shit from them than what we have done, say, a couple of months ago?
I think they've toned it down. They've toned it down a lot. Or I think
do you think they've toned it down for TV as compared to what we heard on the VHSs?
Yeah, I was thinking.
I don't know if it's toning down. It's more that like they're more getting used to each other.
Yeah,
they're finding their rhythm. They are now doing it more frequently. So, like previously, I don't know like how often they would have done commentary for the VHSs. What did they do? Like Uprising 1 and 2, Vendetta 2003, Frontiers of Honor. I'm trying to remember when the Geordie guy fucked off.
Uranogi.
No, you wrong. He pronounced it you wrong.
You wrong.
What have they done? So they've done 1, 2...
And neither of them are having to referee. So at this point, no, he's fully probably into the commentary. But it does feel like they've toned.
They have done commentary on 6 VHS releases by the time we've got around to doing TV. This probably would have been the last episode of the first batch of commentary as well.
Yeah.
TV comms. So, yeah, like they're finding their groove, I think. I think Nick London gets much less obnoxious over the course of the TV than he has been on some of like the VHS stuff. They also had someone who would be like editing out the terrible shit. So I cannot remember what match it is. There is one match where Nick London said something completely wrong and I re-edited his words into the right order to get him to say what I needed him to say.
Yeah, I do feel we've maybe kind of got away from when they were so over the top from what they've maybe been before to now they're kind of leveled out and trying to kind of like find a rhythm with each other. Because again, they're the only two commentators now for FWA and there's no one really else. We're not doing like that time that John Atkins once did commentary.
Oh, so the John Atkins stuff was for DVD.
The best of Doug Williams, yeah.
Yeah, because it was easier to get him to my place in Hemel Hempstead from London than it was to get Tony and Andy down to do their thing. Yeah, I don't think this episode is not as good as the previous one we talked about on this show. No, like that. I mean, Punk and Raven have to go on last because of their names, but like it's a bit of a wet fart of a main event, I think.
Yeah, the main event lets it down. I think the first two matches we saw, Storm and Elton, was good.
I'm amazed you like that tag as much as you did.
Match I thought was perfectly fine.
Fair enough.
I enjoyed it.
I will say the main event was a letdown. Everything else has been so far on both of these episodes. There's nothing I've really complained too much about. The only thing that's been a letdown is Punk and Raven stinking the joint up. But like again, it's an edited version of it. So again,
we don't know how much stink was left on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
So I guess that's it. Eddie, is Murat Bosporus going to be booked into the amazing 5-star tournament?
If I can find his contact details, we will be. But unfortunately, he's no longer. He's refused himself on Cage Match. But yes, yeah. I love him. Again, I think he's great. I really hope we see more of him and he gets pushed to the moon. But unfortunately, I don't think he will. So, like, I'm tempering my expectations.
Well, tell him and everybody else how they can get in touch with you on the internet and all that business. Eddie, do your plugs. Is he frozen?
He's frozen.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
I'm frozen. But I'm back. Hello.
Okay.
Yeah, let me do the quick run for. So after all the legal battles, 5-star Sideburns present 5-star wrestling will still be going ahead. We're just still trying to sort out venues and the years and stuff like that and calm down. So have I forgot the amount of many numbers I've chosen before? Yes, that's true. But we're not going to talk about that right now. But it's still in the works, and I'm not on Twitter, so you can find me on Blue Sky for all that information at Eddie Sideburns. So yeah, there we go.
Excellent stuff. Andy, what you got? It looks like there's a busy month coming up with Graps and Claps, isn't there?
Oh, there certainly is. So follow us on Twitter, now X, at OggyPart3. Follow Graps and Claps podcast at GCP Podcast 1. We've recently had the return of Shite with Matty Edwards, which was looking at the World Wrestling All-Stars Inception show from Australia, which was a fucking dreadful show.
It was a show that should never have been incepted. It's terrible.
It is horrid. Possibly one of the worst. I think it is, the definition of shite or muck. And also, myself and Kieran, we've continued our journey with Reslow, working a Reslow episode 2 is on the feed. It includes an 8.5-minute Fit Finlay cage match that Kieran just went wild about.
It's the best thing we've seen so far. That episode, we also brought some culture. There are no less than 2 book reviews.
There is of
yes.
Orig Williams' autobiography and comic / animation book. Plenty of butchering of the Welsh language as well on there. And also, coming up as we're recording in March, there's bloody hell, Burning Out Pro Wrestling, Rev Pro in Wolverhampton, the PCW Road to Glory, Europe's #1 wrestling tournament. We've also got Working a Reslow episode 3, Mega Slam, PCW in Rottenstall, an ICW No Holds Barred / Rise Wrestling show in Sheffield, and maybe a football review in there as well. So go and check Graps and Claps out.
I'm incredibly sad that I won't be there for PCW Road to Glory because I'm down in London. It breaks my heart so much. But I hope we have a good time there, mate.
Cheers.
As for this show, go to linktr.ee/FWApod for all of our links and whatnot. We are on Twitter, Blue Sky and YouTube at FWApod and Instagram at FWA.pod. As for me personally, I guess you could follow at Kieran Edits on Blue Sky. Thank you very much for listening. We'll be back next month with more of the inside of Southbury Leisure Centre, and there's 2 things you can do about it.